Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Miss Vector Kane, and I will be teaching you a lesson on statistical questioning today in 6th grade mathematics. Last week we learned about volume of a rectangular prism, so we're going to step away from geometry for a little bit and we're going to go to data collection. Our first lesson is going to be on statistical questioning. Our objective today is students will be able to differentiate between statistical and non-statistical questions. Well, the first thing we have to know is, what is a survey? I know we have all done some type of survey in our life. What is your favorite color? And you can draw a diagram for that, or a chart, or label the data. So a survey is a research method used for collecting data from a predetermined group of respondents to gain information and insight on various topics of interest. So we're trying to gain data with a survey and find out who likes something the best or whatever they may be surveying. Now, what is a statistical question? It sounds like a really big, scary word, but it's really not. This is not a difficult thing at all. A statistical question is a question that can be answered by collecting data and where there will be variability in the data. Okay, so we're going to collect data, and variability means it's all going to be different data. What are some examples of a statistical question? Which sports do 6th graders like to play? Okay, I want you to think about that. Am I only going to get one answer? That's what you need to think about when you're doing statistical questions and trying to figure out whether they're statistical or non-statistical. A statistical question has to have more than 2 people involved. And it can't be a one-answer question like yes or no, true or false. It has to have a variability of answers to the question. So if I say, which sport do 6th graders like to play? First, do I have a large audience? Yes, 6th graders. And are there more than 2 sports? Yes, there are. So that would be a statistical question. Number 2, how many minutes do 6th graders spend on homework each week? Now, if I said, how many minutes do you spend on homework each week? That would be non-statistical because I'm just asking one person. But when I put 6th graders in there, I'm going to get some variability because everybody studies at a different amount of time and the minutes could all be different. Number 3, how old are the students in my school? It would be more limited if I said, how old are the students in my 6th grade class? Because most are 11 or 12. But if I say in the school, I've opened that up to more than 2 answers. So that makes it statistical. Number 4, what is the typical number of pets owned by students in my class? Again, people own various numbers of pets, and I'm asking all of the 6th grade, or all the kids in my class. If you notice from the previous page, all of the questions will have more than one answer because you are surveying a large group. A statistical question must have more than 2 answers in order to be statistical. They have to have more than 2 answers. It can't just be yes, no, true, false. What makes a good statistical question? Now, these next 2 statements are going to be very, very important. Every question that you're trying to decide whether it's a non-statistical or statistical question, you need to ask yourself these 2 questions for every one of them. The first one is there a population stated for who I am asking the question? What this means is, have you specified a group of people that you're talking to? For instance, what is my teacher's favorite shoes? Okay, that is not statistical because you're talking about one teacher. But if you said, what are the favorite shoes of all the teachers in Denton Magnet School? Then it's turned into a statistical question because you have a large variety of answers and you have a larger population you're asking to. And then number 2, are there more than 2 answers? If you cannot get more than 2 answers to the question, then you know it's not statistical. You have got to be able to get various answers. Do you like to listen to music? Okay, let's ask ourselves the 2 questions to determine whether this question is statistical or not. I said, do you like to listen to music? Think about it for a second. Would it be statistical or not statistical? Ask yourself the questions. Is there a population stated for who I'm asking the question? You. That's the only thing I see there. Number 2, are there more than 2 answers? No. It's either going to be a yes or a no answer. So if both of these have to be in a statistical question for it to be statistical. So the answer is no to this. How many hours of sleep do 6th graders get each night? Let's ask ourselves the 2 questions to determine whether this question is statistical or not. 1, is there a population stated? Okay, let's look. How many hours of sleep do 6th graders? That's our population, 6th graders. Are there more than 2 answers? Yes. People can get a variety of hours of sleep depending on how much they need. Some people may need 8, which is about the standard, but there could be 10, 9, 7, 6, whatever the answer may be. So yes, this is a statistical question because it meets both of these guidelines. I sent my class a survey and posed the question. I got on Google Classroom and I sent them this question. What is a 6th grader's favorite ice cream flavor? And I actually had them send the responses back to me. Now, the first thing I want you to think about is this a statistical question or not? Well, let's look at the 2 criteria. Do I have a population I'm speaking to? Yes, 6th graders. And will there be a variety of answers? There's lots of ice cream flavors. Yes, there will be a variety of answers, more than 2. These were the results from the survey. I posed chocolate. Now, sometimes you can limit your responses because if I would have asked my students, what is your favorite ice cream? I would have had so many answers that I wouldn't have even been able to put them all up here. So I told them, out of these 5 choices, what is your favorite ice cream? It's still statistical because there's more than 2. And I gave them options of chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, cookies and cream, and mint chocolate chip. And these were the results from my survey. The great thing about statistical questions, and we're going to learn more about this later on, is that you can make graphs and charts to show your data. It's an easy way to show your data if you go out and make a survey, and then you can do a graph. I happen to make a bar graph, but whatever graph meets your need is the graph you can use. And we will be talking about that week after next, how to make graphs and charts related to our statistical data. So as you can see, 5 people, these are counting by 2s, 5 people liked chocolate ice cream the best. 1 person liked strawberry the best. If I would have included myself, I would have been under the strawberry, so that would have been 2. Vanilla, 14 people. Now, that was a surprising result to me. It really was. I expected more people to like the other type, talking about kids. So that one kind of surprised me. You can find out some interesting things whenever you take a statistical question and get your data. Cookies and cream, which I kind of predicted that one, is 17. It won. It has the most liked ice cream. And then mint chocolate chip was 3. So in our survey, when you put it in a chart or graph, it makes it easily to see who likes which ice cream best. And this was the result from just about a classroom full of my students. Okay, we're going to play a sort activity now. I have questions listed beside the T-chart on the next slide. I will read the question and we will determine if the question is statistical or not. This is how it looks. I have my questions here, and then I have a T-chart graphic organizer over here. And I'm going to give you a minute to think in your head what you think is the correct answer. And then we're going to slide it over to the correct section. Okay? So, the first question says, who is your favorite singer? Let's think about the two questions. Is there a population that we're asking to? Is there more than one answer? Okay. There would be more than there. If I'm just asking you, there's not going to be more than one answer. Now, if I asked a group of people who is your favorite singer, I could change that into a statistical question. Who is the sixth grader's favorite singer? I'm going to get a variety of answers then. On this one, however, I do not get a variety of answers. Therefore, it is non-statistical. Okay? Do you like math class? Okay, let's think about that. Do you like math class? Okay, again, the population is you. I'm just asking you. And is there going to be more than two answers? No, it's going to be a yes or no answer. So this one is also non-statistical. If you will ask yourself those two questions every time, you really will not miss these. Okay? What are sixth grade students' favorite music style? Okay, now, do we have a population that we're asking? Yes, we do. We are asking sixth grade students. And we're asking their favorite music style. Now think about this. They could say rock, could say country, they could say R&B, they could say pop, they could say anything that they wanted to there. So both criteria is met for this question, which makes it statistical. So we're going to pull this one over here for, it's not going to quite fit, but you get the idea there. Okay. Let's see. Let me do it this way. Okay. Number 4. What kind of pet do you have? Okay, now pets, that would be a variety of things. So it meets one criteria. But again, it says, do you have? I'm only asking you. So you can't, I'm only going to get one answer. If I ask you, what is your favorite pet? And you say a dog, I don't have variability there. And your graph, the interesting thing, if you made a graph of that, it would just have one line and it would be you. So watch your wording when you're forming your statistical questions, that you have a definite audience. So this one is not statistical. Okay? How many minutes a week do middle school students spend on Facebook? I really don't even want to know that answer, especially during this time. But let's look. Let's look at our audience. Do we have one person or do we have more people? Yes, we have more people because middle school students, that's a lot of people that you're surveying. Now let's look at what we're talking about. Could you have more than 2 answers? Yes, you can, because there are many minutes, seconds and minutes in an hour, so that could be a very large number. So that one can move over here. What is the favorite candy of students in Miss Kane's class? Okay, let's look at our population. Do we have more than 2 people or 1 person that we're talking about? Yes, I'm talking about all the students in my class, so I am definitely going to have more than 1 person that I'm asking. The next question says, the next thing to ask yourself is about the item that we're talking about. Are we going to get more than 1 answer? What is the favorite candy of students in Miss Kane's class? So yes, there are a ton of different candies, and I know when my kids at Halloween, they came back telling me their favorite candies, and we did surveys on that. So I know there is more than 1 answer to that question. So it is statistical. What kind of candy do you like? Okay, first of all, let's look at our population. Our population is only you. So again, we'd have that one little skinny bar on our graph. You have to have a way to have multiple bars. So what kind of candy? Now that meets the guidelines for the second part because you're talking about 2 or more items, but the first part is just you. So that is not statistical. So 3, 5, and 6 are statistical questions. 1, 2, 4, and 7 are non-statistical questions. And like I was saying before, I already told you on this one, who is your favorite singer? You could switch that to who is the favorite singer of 6th graders. That makes it statistical. You can always change a non-statistical question to a statistical question. Do you like math class? Okay, that's not statistical, but you can turn it into what is the favorite subject of students in Miss Kane's class. Number 4, what kind of pet do you have? Well, you could say, what kind of pets do the teachers at Denton Magnet School have? That changes it to a statistical question. Number 7, what kind of candy do you like? And this is the statistical question for this one. What is the favorite candy of students in Miss Kane's class? That's a way to turn them. So never feel that you can't turn a non-statistical into a statistical. Now, I challenge you this week or today, actually, to write down 5 questions that are statistical and then write down 5 questions that are not statistical. The questions that are not statistical, turn them into a statistical question. So I want you to write down 5 questions that are statistical, write down 5 questions that are not statistical, and then turn the 5 that are not statistical into a statistical question. I think I picked up the wrong one here. Next week, we will be discussing central tendency. Another big word, and what that actually means is mean, median, mode, and range. We are going to be discussing these things, how they relate to statistical questioning, and then we are going to learn the next week how to graph all of these things together. All of these things give us great data collection. So please tune in next week. I can't wait to see you then, and have a great week.